Well, good morning, all. It's another beautiful rainy day. So, since we can't go play in the hills today, I thought we'd discuss the dangers of prospecting. Now, there's dangers in everyday life, but there are some dangers when you go up in the hills and go prospecting. And I'm still out here after darn near 60 years of doing this, so it can't be that dangerous. But what I want to do is I want to cover basically some of the questions a lot of you've got and that I've had over the years, and the things I do and I know to try to mitigate that as much as possible. So you spend your time enjoying the hills rather than worrying about if you're going to become part of the food chain. Okay, now, the first thing we'll cover, we're going to start from the largest critters on down. And the number one big guy is the black bear. Now, the black bear, I don't really feel is much of a problem at all. They don't like people, they give you a wide berth. But if you surprise one, or if you're real quiet and one comes up on you, there can be issues. And even though it's very rare, they have attacked people. But the main thing is to stay aware of what's going on around you. If they got cubs, get out of there. And for the most part, most people will never see one when they're up in the hills. Okay, the other guy, and this guy, I don't like them because they just get you too close to the food chain, and that's the mountain lion. The mountain lion, there's not a whole lot you're going to do about it because 9 times out of 10, you will never know they're there. I mean, come on, they eat deer for a living. Can you sneak up on a deer? So the best deal with the mountain lion is just keep your eyes open. If you are going up in the hills, an area where there's a lot of them, it's best to go with somebody else because they don't like, they'll pick on a single prey, but they're not big on 2 people. I have been stalked by a mountain lion, and I'll tell you, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Luckily, there was 2 of us, so we never did get attacked, but that's a situation I don't want to get in again. Now, as far as the mountain lion goes, like I said, there's not a lot you can do about it. Basically, I keep an eye on the ground. I look for tracks. If there's a lot of deer sign around, I'm a little more comfortable. If I see deer, I'm a little more comfortable because they don't hang around with those mountain lions. But the odds are you're never going to see one. I've been in the hills my whole life, and you see them very rarely because they are really good at hiding and really good at sneaking. Okay, now the other critter that I see quite often, and they are dangerous, and that is the rattlesnake. Now, luckily, here in California, Northern California, that's the only snake we have to worry about. Now, the rattlesnake is very easy to recognize. They got the rattles, but the most significant thing is their head shape. A lot of people will see a gopher snake and think it's a rattlesnake. And the rattlesnake has a definite arrow-shaped head, where the non-poisonous snakes, their head is more or less the width of their body. And the rattlesnake is also much thicker in the middle. They're short and real thick. Side by side, they're night and day. But when you're hiking through the hills and a snake goes through the grass, a gopher snake looks a lot like a rattlesnake. But if they're going through the grass, that's a good sign because that means they're getting out of there. Now, most of the time, rattlesnakes if you're traveling along and you're not moving real fast, they will be gone before you get to them. They don't like us any more than we like them, and they will avoid you if they can. The only time a rattlesnake, I feel a rattlesnake is really dangerous, is when they're shedding their skin, because they basically have no sight then, and they will strike at anything that's moving around them. So your best defense is just be aware of where you're putting your hands and your feet, and avoid them. Don't, if you see a rattlesnake, don't go try to kill it and all that. Just avoid them, and you'll be fine. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I haven't been bit. Now, my brother has been bitten twice. Both times, he didn't avoid them. He was messing with them, and he paid the price for it. And he doesn't mess with them anymore. It's not a pleasant experience. Okay, now moving down on the list, we got your critters. Black widows, scorpions, things like that. And in the hills, I feel they're truly less dangerous than they are at home. Because I got black widows around the house here, and I've only seen a few up in the hills. So, same thing, watch where you put your hands and feet, and it's really not an issue. Okay, now we're going to get to the ones that I think are truly dangerous. And, in my opinion, the most dangerous thing in the hills, and it's not only in the hills, it's at home too, is the tick. In California, we have, I think it's 40 some odd different species of ticks. Luckily, there's only 8 of them that will bite a human. One of them, and it's a Pacific blackleg, don't quote me on this, but we call them the deer tick. They are the only tick that carries Lyme's disease. And they're everywhere. And I have been bitten by a tick, and I've come up with the telltale ring around the bite for Lyme's disease. If I get bit by a tick, as soon as I get home, I'm at the doctor next day, because they can prevent it. But if you don't prevent it, if you don't take the antibiotics and hit it right then and there, if you actually get the disease, all they can do is treat the symptoms for the rest of your life. There's several diseases that are transmitted by ticks that are horrible diseases. So your best bet is don't get bit by a tick. And this is, it's not just up mining. This can happen at home, it can happen at the park, you name it, there's ticks. So the worst time of year for the tick is in the spring. That's when the young ones are coming out, they're little tiny guys, and they're hungry and they're ready to feed. During the hot part of the summer, they're really not much of an issue, and in the fall, I don't think, very seldom do I see a tick in the fall. But the main time is in the early spring, up until the real hot weather starts, is the most dangerous time. The best thing you can do is wear light colored clothes and put repellent on. And it doesn't hurt if you're going into an area where it's a real grassy area, an area that's got a lot of brush. It doesn't hurt to tape your pants legs around at your boot so they can't crawl up your pant leg. And in the spring, every single time I go out, I can't remember one time I didn't go out that I didn't have a tick crawling up my pant leg or crawling on my shirt or something. So they're out there, and the thing is, prevention. Wear insect repellent, wear light clothing, just make it so it's really hard for them to get to your skin. Once you get down to the river, get out of the brush, out of the grass, then it's not a problem. They don't hang around down at the river. But the main thing is grassy areas and brush along trails. That's where they hang out. In the description below, I've put a link to an article that the California State has put out on ticks, and it is a very good, it's got good pictures, good descriptions, it's worth a look. So even if you don't go up in hills and go mining, it's worth a look because it's packed full of information. Okay, well that pretty much covers the critters you got to worry about. Now the other big thing is poison oak. Some people, doesn't bother. It bothers me very little, but I do on occasion get it, but it's not bad as a spot or two. Other people are very allergic to it and they can end up in the hospital. So the best thing with poison oak is learn how to identify it and stay out of it. And if you are allergic to poison oak, or people in your family have a bad reaction to poison oak, when you go up into the hills, you go up, play, have a wonderful day. When you come home, you take your clothes, put them in the washing machine, then go take a shower and get rid of it, because poison oak, it's the oil on the leaves that causes it. So when I come home from mining, I take a bottle of dish soap into the shower with me, because dish soap is real good at breaking oil, and just wash down with the dish soap. Make sure you get in between your fingers, around your fingernails real well, and like I say, 99% of the time I don't have an issue. And so the thing with the poison oak is mainly stay out of it, but even if you're out of it, when you get home, keep it in your head that you might have got into it, and just go ahead and wash off with dish soap and it won't be an issue. Okay, when you're up in the hills doing a little prospecting, some of the dangers you have no control over. You know, the bears, the mountain lions, the ticks, the rattlesnakes, you don't have any control over where they are and what they're doing. But you do have control over what you're doing, and a lot of your decisions will decide whether or not you're going to go home hurt or not. Now, this is something I've covered on my videos before. When you get in the river, number one is do not allow yourself to get too tired. When you're finding gold, that can happen. Trust me, I know. The rivers are dangerous. You know, in the late part of the year, in the late fall, it's not so bad because they're barely moving and you got plenty of time to get out of the river. The current's not that bad. But in the spring, they're dangerous. You got a lot of current. They're cold. So I've always made it a practice that I do not get in the river in any spot where I don't have an area below me that is fairly calm that I can get out. Like if you got a set of falls or rapids right below you, you got no business being in that river unless you're tied off. Because one slip and you're going over the falls. That's not a good thing to do. Hiking. If you're by yourself, you do not take chances. I spend a lot of time by myself in the hills, and I do not take any chances when I'm hiking. I don't jump over the little ravine because it's going to save me some time. No, I will hike down and back up and go around because I know if I fall, there's nobody there to help me. So falling rocks is an issue. Now, most of you know Jeff that goes out with me. Several years ago, he got hit in the head with a falling rock, and it basically cut him from the back of his skull all the way down the side of his head. Luckily, we were only a half mile from the truck, and he had to walk all the way back to the truck with his head split open, and it was not a fun day. So pay attention, especially if you're with other people and you're going down the hillside. Be aware that you knock a rock this big loose, it could hit your buddy in the back of the head and he can go head first down the hill. These are dangers that you have control over. You just gotta, keep it in the back of your mind. When you're working with more than one person in the same area, I strongly recommend you wear bright colored gloves. That will keep you from dropping a rock on your buddy's hand. Now when we used to do a lot of dredging, we all wore bright fluorescent orange gloves just for that purpose. Now this one I'm a little uncomfortable talking about because I'm probably the worst guy on this. You're going to be hitting rocks with a hammer or hitting your bar or a chisel with a hammer. Have safety goggles on. And now I know we're all guilty of it, but really, you know, it takes a second to put the glasses on and it could save a world of hurt. Now when you're in an area that has been mined, especially if they did a lot of hard rock mining, or digging down to work the bottom of the channel, there's a lot of inherent dangers in an old mining area. Open shafts, air shafts, wires, cables, things like that you can trip over. When you're in a mine area, you got to keep it in the back of your head that it's a pretty dangerous area. So watch where you put your feet. Now, I do not carry a first aid kit with me when I go mining because I used to for years, and most of the injuries you're going to get while mining is going to be you're going to smash your finger, you're going to cut your hand on a rock or whatever, and I do have a roll of electrical tape in my bag, and I use that for repairing equipment. I use that if I get a cut, I will take a napkin, put it against the cut, and wrap electrical tape around it until I can get home, clean it up, and do it right. Okay, the things I do carry is I try to always have a clean rag in my pack. I carry clean water, always have water with you, and I always try to take the cell phone. Now some places it works great, some places it doesn't work. Mainly I use it to keep track of the time. But there are a lot of the spots that I go that I've been down on the river panning and my phone rings. And it's kind of reassuring knowing that if you slip and fall and break your leg, all you got to do is call and help's coming. So it doesn't hurt to take a cell phone along with you. Now, one of the most important things you can do for your safety, and especially like me, an old guy by himself going up in the hills, let somebody know where you're going and when you're going to be back. That way, if something does happen, at least you know people are going to come to that general area and look for you. If you don't let anybody know where you're going, you're going to lay there until somebody just happens along. So always let somebody know where you're going and when you expect to be back. Okay, well, you know, going up in the hills and, you know, being part of the food chain and all that, just, you know, it's not a real fun topic. But, you know, it's something that we need to discuss, and it's something that you kind of need to keep in the back of your head, but don't dwell on it. I mean, it's, I've been doing it my whole life. I'm still here, and I got a lot of friends that have been doing it their whole lives, and they're still here. Yes, you can be injured. You can be injured walking out to your car. It just, to keep the injuries at a minimal, knowledge is your friend. Take your time, watch what you're doing. And you'll have a wonderful trip and come home happy and hopefully with some gold. Okay, well, if you enjoyed the video and you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And hopefully, if it ever quits raining, we're going to get out in the hills and do a little bit of playing. So stay tuned. Till then, you have a wonderful day.